Cue the latest attempt by the industry to get us listening to our tunes on better, more expensive equipment, all sporting badges marked high-res audio.
I want to bring back real music.
Musician Neil Young has put his name to the Pono player that plays very, very large, high-quality audio files called FLAC, which can be even bigger than full CD-quality WAV files. Here comes the AK240 player and headphone combo, which will cost you around $4,000. And this Sony Walkman on show at CES last week costs $1,200. The problem, we're told, is that these days many of us are used to listening to our music in less than ideal circumstances, on cheap headphones and on smartphones. And, just as importantly, we're listening to music files that have been too compressed. Full CD quality music files, those files we call WAVs, are pretty huge. In order to fit the tunes on our computers and phones, and to download and stream them through our internet connections, they've had to be highly compressed into formats like MP3 and M4A. And those are the tunes that eclectic Radio 1 DJ and producer B Traits ends up using at her gigs.
I show up to a DJ gig with an SD card, and I plug it into this machine, and it's got my entire music library on it. It's incredibly convenient, rather than carrying around a massive bag of vinyl.
But in order to compress your files, there are compromises that need to be made. If you want to make your audio or video file smaller, you can remove information from it. For example, this part of the image has had an awful lot of information removed from it. We're not using many pixels or many colours, and I think you'll agree the result is rubbish. While this part of the image has had no information removed from it at all, and it feels, well, like I'm in your living room with you, I'm sure. And so it was that these high-res FLAC music files on this very expensive player did sound better than the equivalent MP3s. A bit. But the question is it worth that massive increase in file size, and cost? What's interesting is this middle part of the image has also had some information removed. We're not using quite as many pixels as that part or quite as many colours. The question is, can you tell the difference? And for those who do want to hear more quality, those larger WAV files should be enough for most listeners, whereas the massive FLAC files also contain audio frequencies that the human ear can't even hear. Now, what's the point of that?
Sounds above and below our range of hearing may actually affect us anyway. We don't know enough about that. We know that infrasonic sounds, sounds below the range of human hearing, do affect our body. Just go to a drum and bass club, for example, and you'll feel the difference rather than hear it. Ultrasonic information may well affect us in the same way. Even though you don't consciously hear the difference, you may feel the difference.
We'll think that there's much difference between the enormous high-res audio files and standard CD-quality WAV files.
I think it depends on the sound recording. I think it depends on the person listening, the state of their ears. It depends on the equipment they're listening to, and it depends on where they're listening to it. So notionally, yes, but very often, no.
Perhaps a compromise between huge file sizes and all that extra information is being developed here. A file type known as MQA, which encodes all that inaudible information in a more efficient way than FLAC to keep file sizes down to approximately the same size as WAV.
MQA uses insights from neuroscience that remind us that hearing's our most important sense and that the things that are most critical are time and not frequency.
Pono means righteous. Pono is the one, the whole. It's a Hawaiian word.
For artists who are looking for new ways to promote the sale of their music and charge more for it, high-res audio is certainly something they can shout about. But at the moment, there's not even an agreed standard that qualifies a track or a player for being called high-res. And interestingly, in Neil Young's high-res Pono music service this week, the #1 album is Neil Young with After the Gold Rush.